Who gets the carbon credits?
So the District of North Vancouver, and this bodes for the future in terms of the kinds of arguments that might happen. The District of North Vancouver is really annoyed that apparently roughly half of its planning staff time is being taken up by these large projects that are situated on the North Shore. So their planners are very taxed, and there's doesn't seem to be any arrangements for compensation. So the district really wanted the carbon credits from this project. At least that was something. Even if they're only notional, it was going to be something. So anyway, the long story short, the gist of it is that with these big projects, all of the carbon credits go to Metro Vancouver, to the region, and the municipalities are not happy about that occurring. And the other thing that was interesting at that board meeting was the Regional Parks Land Acquisition Strategy Key Directions, rolls off the tongue, was passed, and it provides the key directions assisting in the development of final land acquisition strategy for the Metro Vancouver Regional District Board. So the Parks is seeking board approval, and got it with one minor fix, for how they go about acquiring new parks. And they want to be quite aggressive in terms of expanding the parks because the usage continues to climb. There were a couple of blips in the past year. Crippen went down 5% over the year before, but that was attributed primarily to the really lousy weather. And there were a couple of others that were affected negatively as well. Tomorrow is the Parks meeting, and I had expected that the orchard recommendation would be on the agenda. It's not. And what's interesting is that tomorrow is also the budget meeting for parks. They have to come up with their recommendations to go forward to the board. Next week we have a board budget meeting, and then the following week we have another budget meeting, and then we have council of council. So there's a whole bunch of financial decisions being made over the next 2 weeks. It would have been really nice to have had the document before the Parks Committee at this point. The project, interestingly, is reflected in the 5-year fiscal plan. It's in 2018. It's shown as a $100,000 project to do detailed design. In 2019, it's shown as $1 million project to do work. And in 2020, it's shown as a $300,000 project to finish the work. So they have built into the budget the work in the orchard, but we haven't had the discussion of it, which strikes me as weird or else incredibly strategic. And I'm not sure which it is at this point, but I guess I'll have a clearer sense as of tomorrow.
But it is dragging on an extra year or two.
Here's to
Yeah. It's Carol Mason, yeah. Back when we met with her in 2015.
2015.
Yeah. And stressed that this was our priority for this term, and she was going to work on that for us.
Yeah, so I expect she'll be there tomorrow. It's a big discussion, the budget discussion. Parks takes up a huge chunk of the annual budget, and the orchard project is taking up a huge chunk of the capital budget over those 3 years.
Yeah.
But it's the pace with which this is moving, I don't think is in their best interest nor in ours. So
Yeah.
that's Metro Vancouver.
What do you do with planning horizons?
Election issues.
So going back to that acquisition strategy,
Yeah.
is there anything in there that would look at acquiring more of the crown lands to expand Crippen? I mean, does it
Not-
facilitate that, or?
It could potentially.
Yeah.
There's a line that talks about acquiring lands from other jurisdictions, and by other jurisdictions,
That's the crown.
they mean the crown primarily. Yeah.
So, trustees,
I can report. We met on Denman Island, and we saw some amazing and very disturbing shellfish harvesting areas, where one of their best swimming beaches was all full of rebar and netting and all these plastic tubes that they see the
It's not
Gooey
just
ducks.
harvesting, it's the whole aquaculture program.
they put it on the beach?
all over the beach, and they drive all over the beach, and it looks very industrial, and they can't swim there, it's very dangerous.
Who's they?
The province has allowed companies to,
It's
Harvest.
like logging.
It's
It's-
clam, oyster, and gooey duck agriculture.
Yeah.
And it's in the strait between Denman and Vancouver Island.
Yeah.
which
Anyway,
name's
so-
gone
so
right out of my
I just think our beaches are not sacrosanct within the Islands Trust, if anybody does that. And for those of us who like to eat shellfish and think it might be charming to have local shellfish farming, beware. That's one of the things I came
Can I
away with,
just-
wow.
So it was private companies that have gone to the province for tenure of the foreshore.
And DFO, and there's very few rules, and the rules are not enforced. It's kind of up to the companies under, once they've got the lease, anything goes kind of thing. So it's very disturbing to see.
Thank
I'm trying to
goodness.
keep this quick.
But let's just thank goodness for our high coliform counts.
Well,
Carry on.
speaking of high coliform counts, Bonnie and I were at the Ocean Watch meeting. This is the committee of the Howe Sound Forum. So in your agenda package, you'll see a motion from that group that has to do something I can't remember at the moment. But anyway, look in your package. Sorry, it's a little late for me. It must be after 9. BC Ferries came and gave us a presentation. Interestingly, they've got a new terminal development team who's only been going like 6 or 8 months. They were not only upgrading the buildings at the ferry docks on Denman, but they were also upgrading the whole ferry marshalling outside of the ferry area. So they're out looking at the roads, doing safety audits and things like that. So this is one of the first times that BC Ferries, I asked some questions. Are you working actually outside of the actual terminal area? Yes, they are. And so with Snug Cove and also about Horseshoe Bay, I said, are you thinking about a transportation hub approach? And asked them some of those kinds of words, and they said, yes, we are. And they brought up the car to go and that kind of thing. So they're watching that, and that one they should be starting in a year. Horseshoe Bay.
And interestingly, the team is, one of them is a planner, and the other is a transportation engineer. So they've got a mix of people, not just transportation
Yeah.
engineers, which is what's been the group that's been.
So I
doing
put
it
Emma in
that.
touch with the planner, who used to be a transportation planner for Saanich. So he's got municipal experience, and they're talking about community plans. And so they're talking about getting public input and all kinds of good things. So if you're interested, I can send you more info, or watch the BIMTAC agendas. And
Well,
then,
they did a PowerPoint presentation, which is on the Islands Trust agenda. They posted it to the website. So just talking about their planning
Can we
process.
put that on, could you forward that to BIMTech, because that would be, and you've given a verbal.
yeah,
yeah.
I tried to get it on the last agenda
Yeah,
and
perfect.
twice, and it
Yeah.
didn't get on, but I will send it around. I've got it on my
Perfect.
draft, but, sorry, my email went down for a little bit today. And then, finally, I just wanted to mention Islands Trust. Trust Council gave direction September 2016 to conduct housing needs assessment throughout the trust area. Well, they're on to that now, and they're starting to do it. They've hired a consultant and figured out how they're going to go about it within the other islands. And the question came, well, could Bowen be involved? And Allison and I and Kathy have been communicating a little bit by email, and I thought I would bring it up here. I think BIM should be involved in this needs study because it's going on anyway, and it's something that as a member of the Islands Trust, this is a way that we could Well, I would welcome an up-to-date housing needs assessment, and especially with the census data coming out and the funding possibilities coming, so this would be up to date, and so much has changed. And then we would also have the same criteria as the other islands, so that we could work together better with them, or whatever we needed to do. We could we'd be part of a bigger study. And so that's what I was thinking. And then I also had seen that Maureen had posted that at least you and she had talked to BC Housing at UBCM. So I thought we could have a little conversation. What do you think? Is this a good idea, or could we request that Daniel get in touch with them, because he was at that housing forum over in Cowichan Bay, and get started on this and get some of it that could be done through the Islands Trust, and I guess there's other things that could be done.
Well, isn't she gonna phone us and have a discussion?
I thought we could have a chat here first, and then, since we're in an open public council meeting, let's talk about it, because I wasn't aware of what had happened in the meeting that you guys had at UBCM, and Kathy hadn't been there, so.
The big question is, do we have to pay for it?
Well, I'm proposing that we shouldn't have to pay for it, because we're part of the Islands Trust, and we don't always call on them for very much compared to perhaps we pay into the Islands Trust.
Well, we got an
maybe.
email from the Islands Trust asking to have a telephone conversation with Sue Ellen and I think we should include Daniel in that conversation, and
Yes,
Kathy. And I left my Islands Trust iPad at home this morning when I left at 9:30, so
I have an email here if anybody
yeah,
wants.
but I don't know whether I sent Cindy Celeste an email asking her which budget pot this project was coming out of, and if it's coming out of Trust Area Services, then definitely we're paying for a share of it, so we should be part of it. If it's coming out of the local planning budget, then I think I would just argue that we should get it anyhow.
I still think there might be cost savings, because we wouldn't be duplicating effort.
Do we have one going on now, though?
Yeah, first of all, I'm gonna go to Maureen, and then I'll answer
Yeah,
that.
so we need to,
I'm uncomfortable having any sort of in-depth discussion of this at this point. At 9:15, not on an agenda, even though it is in a public meeting. What I'd like to know are some of the answers to the questions that have been brought up here, and if that can be done between you guys and Daniel and Kathy.
I think the first
that
step
would
is
be
getting
great.
the scope of what they're.
Yeah,
let's
and
have
then-
the exploratory.
And then bring it
phone
back
call.
to us.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, I just wanted to flag it as part of the update, to
Yeah.
say, here's an opportunity, I don't know what else is going on, shall we pursue it? So, can you and Daniel just follow up, or do you?
Well, she's
would
gonna
it be better?
phone us, so we'll set it up so that we have a conference call.
And we'll be part of it for sure.
Great,
Yeah,
great.
yeah.
Okay.
And if they have
Kathy's
anything
off.
they can forward in advance, like there's the scope of the project.
Yeah, I think there's some.
It's not that far
It
yet.
sounds like it's an exploratory
Okay,
telephone
sure.
conversation, but yeah,
Sounds good.
they're looking for information.
So Daniel and I'll be
So
involved.
just-
Yeah.
Just one more item
Thank
under
you.
new business. Your mayor is part of the mayor's council, and I actually have a report.
Oh, wow. Well,
Is it for translate?
Get ready for that.
Oh, what a UBCM.
No, the translate thing, I went to a planning session, and I was representing the North Shore, as these things go. And with the members of the TransLink board and senior executives and planners and all that sort of thing, I stressed very strongly to them that what we really need is this connectivity all the way through to Capilano University, with going down Lonsdale to get to the hospital, and that they, as part of their long-term plan, have to work from the Horseshoe Bay hub, connecting up with BC Transit and the ferries, and take it all the way probably to a SkyTrain station in Burnaby, but certainly to the Phipps Exchange initially, with limited stops on the North Shore. And apparently the MLA for the North Shore and I are on the same page as far as those planners are
You
concerned.
mean
because-
the new North Van MLA?
Yeah.
Von Run.
Yeah, very much exactly what was said at the meeting that they had with the provincial people. And I just want to tout this pilot project a little bit, right? So the thing that I don't think people have taken into consideration is with the new bus schedule, we're now going to have longer lengths of time between buses. So we actually do have more opportunity for the bus to shoot off, to go here and there. And TransLink is looking at a number of these of innovative programs. For example, they've got not Car to Go, but Go Car or Moto, that is reinvigorating carpools, going to places like C-SPAN, or going to some industrial park that's just been built in Surrey, or whatever. Wherever you have these places where it's not economic to run transit, to places where nobody lives. They're actually partnering with the companies and with the employees and with the car rental firm to,
A last mile.
yeah, as part of TransLink,
That's
right?
interesting, that used to happen with Jack.
Yeah, exactly, but that's being
Jack
reinvigorated.
Bell, yeah.
And this idea of having an app and having the guy at the shuttle bus with his iPad telling him where to go off the route to pick up people further up the hill or down the hill or around the corner is extremely innovative and quite expensive. I mean, they're spending some money in their planning department with Andrew McCurran and company to do this thing. So we're extremely lucky.
You should have come to BIMTAC last week, because we had Andrew presenting to us.
Well, I know, but
No, it's fine.
I
This
don't
is
think I
great.
was, I don't think I was in town or on the island at the time, but I was a little concerned with people talking about things as small as how will this compete with the taxi. What they're competing with is the 90% of people on the island who drive cars. If you can convert 5% of them to non-car drivers, you will increase the taxi business on the island. You know, so the very small, narrow thing, I don't see how that'll work on Bowen. I don't really like apps. Those types of comments. I thought, my goodness, how small.
You watched the recording?
No, I just
You just heard about it.
heard the
Yeah.
comments later.
Okay.
Anyway, that was my little report.
Yeah, well, that's super.
That's great.
It's a good report.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree.
Thank you. Thank you. We're adjourned. That's it.
First time I've ever seen it.
Yeah, I'm blushing.
Have a good meeting tomorrow.
Thank you. Back.
Let me know, Maureen, that really concerns me.
What?
Oh, I got pictures of me and